Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yato Anvayaditaratascha Artheshu Abhigyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayah Tejo Varimridam Yathavinimayo Yatratra Sargom Risha Dhamna Swena Sada Nirastakohakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Nigamakalpataror Galitam Phalam Shukamukad Amrutadrava Sanyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. We enter the 29th chapter of the 11th Skandha, and this is the concluding episode of Uddhava Gita. So, having listened to the discourse of Krishna, and especially the last chapter where the highest wisdom was revealed, Uddhava asks Krishna a final question. He says, the yogic path is hard to practice because one is not able to control one's mind. There are many yogis who strive to curb their mind, but they feel only frustrated. And those who are even proud of their knowledge, their Vedantic knowledge, they are also deluded by the very pride and get caught in the ego. So, the true men of wisdom who recognize the essence of truth always simply surrender unto you. And this is the direct way in which everyone realizes you by surrendering unto you, and you are always extremely compassionate towards your devotees who are surrendered unto you. This has been demonstrated by you many times, including with monkeys, such as when you descended as Sri Ram and bestowed your grace to even monkeys. And therefore, anyone who is recognizing the supreme nature of your being will not turn away from surrendering unto you and instead look for anything else, because you are the very self of the entire creation. And if one goes for anything else, even the greatest fortune, it only leads to forgetfulness about you. Even living a long life with all kinds of opulences only leads one to get caught in them and forget you. And therefore, recognizing you as the only truth within and without, as the Guru inside the heart and outside the heart, the one who removes all impurities and reveals one's own true nature, is the way of wisdom. Therefore, O Krishna, summarize all that you have taught me by giving me the most easiest and direct way to abide in the truth you have revealed to me thus far. So, hearing this question of Uddhava, Krishna is very pleased and he replies with a beautiful smile. It says, and Krishna replies by saying, O Uddhava, I shall now tell you, to conclude and summarize everything, the most auspicious course of conduct by which one is able to easily get past the false identification with the body, which is of the nature of birth and death, by first simply dedicating the mind and intellect unto me and engaging all activities for my sake. Remember me. So this is the most essential step, Krishna says. He says, Kuryat sarvani karmani madartam shanakai smaran mai arpita manaschitto madharma atma manoratihi. So by remembering me always as the all-pervading supreme being and dedicating all your actions for my sake, have your mind and heart surrendered unto me. Take the company of pious men who are devoted unto me, either by moving to such holy places or by seeking their company wherever you are. Engage in celebrating my presence whenever possible either individually or collectively through various activities such as songs and dances and all art forms, dovetail all the art forms to remember me. And by doing all this, that is by surrendering all actions unto me, by seeking the company of pious men, by dovetailing all activities, songs, dances, all arts, celebrations to only remember me, with the heart purified, behold me alone as the Supreme Self, pervading within and without, as the unconditioned space that pervades everywhere. So Krishna says, Mameva sarva bhuteshu pahirantarapavrtam iksheta atmani chatmanam yatha kham amalashaya. Just as space pervades everything in this world, similarly recognize me as pervading everyone and everything within and without. And with this true self knowledge, not an intellectual understanding, but a direct recognition that I alone exist everywhere within and without, see every being as identical with me and honor them as such. That is, look upon everyone and everything as with an equal eye, whether he be a very wise scholar or an ignorant person, whether he be a thief, whether he be a tender hearted person or a cruel person, whoever it might be, regard everyone equally as only an expression of me, and therefore be free of any sense of rivalry, fault finding, contempt, conceit, because all of this come only upon looking people as distinct other than myself. The sense of rivalry or competition, finding fault, blaming, all of this. So be free of all of this by looking upon everyone as none other than myself. And whoever it might be, not just humans, but even a dog or a cow or any animal or even a log of wood, everything that there is simply an expression of me. Recognize as such and offer your inner respect to everyone and everything in this way, and express your speech, mind, and body to to rather use the expression of speech, mind, and body to recognize this truth. Thereby, this realization settles in your heart that everyone and everything is none other than my own expression, my own energy. And in this way, everything is simply seen as the pure Brahman in one's eyes, and seeing this alone everywhere through direct realization, one's doubts are all completely removed. Krishna says, Sarvam Brahmatmakam Tasya Vidyaya Atma Manishaya Paripashyan Uparamet Sarvato Mukta Samshaya. All doubts are removed and one is settled by this process. So, what Krishna has summarized is, dedicate all actions unto me, seek the company of holy, pious men wherever you are, engage in all activities, all festivities, all celebrations, all arts only towards glorifying the all pervading Supreme Being that I am. And thus, with a heart that is pure, behold me alone as pervading within and without like space. And with this wisdom, regard everyone equally, whoever it might be, offering your respect, and thereby settle in this realization that everyone and everything is me alone. And this removes all doubts, and this is the highest of all disciplines. And in this, there is no fear of loss, there is nothing that can be taken away. It is removing all craving, and it is the most direct and highest way of realizing me, of realizing the Supreme Being as the true essence of everyone and everything there is. Therefore, this is the wisdom of the wise, the intelligence of the intelligent, and this gives one the supreme essence of life, the immortal and real substance through the human body, which is impermanent. He says, Esha buddhimatam buddhir manisha cha manishinam yat satyam anrutena iha martyenapnoti mamritam. Through this impermanent body, the only real purpose is to recognize the eternal pure substance that pervades everything and everyone. And that realization happens through this highest discipline. And this is the intelligence of the intelligent and the wisdom of the wise. And thus Krishna summarizes the entire teaching in these few verses as the essence of self-realization through complete surrender, wherein there is nothing other than the Supreme that is seen in every aspect of one's perception. Krishna says this is the essence of the entire Vedic wisdom, the Vedantic teaching that has been taught by me before too. So Krishna has taught the same teaching in Gita to Arjuna. So he says, once one grasps this, all doubts are removed and one is liberated right then and there. Therefore, the one who treasures this question of yours and this reply of mine will certainly realize the everlasting, eternal, pure being. So the question of Uddhava, especially in this chapter as the concluding chapter of Uddhava Gita, is, having heard all the various aspects of Sankhya, Yoga, modes of worship, and all the rest, Uddhava asked the last question as a sincere seeker who is not interested in simply acquiring knowledge but in directly realizing the truth in his heart. He said, tell me what is the way to directly realize this truth in the most easy, effortless way without being caught in the pride of knowledge or inability to control the mind and all the rest. What is the direct way, the most effortless, efficacious way to realize you? That's the question, and Krishna's answer is very direct. He says, to sum it all up in that one verse, he says, perceive me, behold me as pervading within and without all beings as space pervades everything, and regard everyone and everything as identical with me. So this is the response. So Krishna says, this question of yours and this response of mine, the one who shares it, the one who treasures it, the one who listens to it, the one who repeats it is blessed, because he or she will be instantly purified through this lamp of wisdom. So the one who attentively listens to this dialogue with reverence is practicing the highest devotion. So Krishna says all other forms of devotion is secondary to this, which is the supreme devotion of listening to this highest lamp of wisdom. And therefore Krishna says, oh my friend Uddhava, with this I am certain that your mind's infatuation and grief has disappeared. Cherish this teaching. Do not impart it to anyone who is irreverent, who is a hypocrite, or who is simply argumentative, but impart it to the one who is devoted, who is pious, who is sincere, whoever it might be, whatever birth, race, color, country, it doesn't matter. What matters is the attitude of sincerity, reverence, and purity. That, if that is present, impart this wisdom to them. Knowing this, nothing else remains to be known. This is the entire essence of the Vedantic teaching. So, having relinquished all sense of doership, the one who dedicates oneself to me, he is the one who is the object of grace, and he attains immortality, recognizing me as the true essence of all. So, this is how Krishna concludes Uddhava Gita. And hearing this discourse of Krishna, Uddhava has eyes overflowing with tears, throat choked with emotion, unable to utter a word for a long time. He is simply stilled. There is silence, the most sacred silence, with Krishna there and Uddhava there, and not a word being spoken by Uddhava because of being completely overwhelmed. After a long silence, he finally replies to Krishna with joined palms, touching his lotus feet. Krishna, he tells, Uddhava says, Krishna, my ignorance has been completely dispelled, just as cold or darkness is dispelled by fire. This wisdom that you have bestowed unto me with great compassion, what else can I ask for? Even the attachment I have to our clan. So Uddhava belongs to the same clan as Krishna, which is the Vrishnis and so on, the who are all in Dwaraka and who have not come here. So even that attachment is gone. This has been removed by the sword of this wisdom. Therefore, I only offer my obeisance to you. I have come to you for refuge, and all I have is unceasing love for your lotus feet. He says, Namostu te Mahayogin Prapannam Anushadhimam Yatatva Charanam Bhoje Ratisyad Anapayini. This is the last verse Uddhava says. He says, Namostu te Mahayogin, the greatest yogi of all, the supreme yogi, I surrender unto you, I offer my obeisance to you, and I have unceasing love for your lotus feet, and please bless me to have this love forever in my heart. So Krishna now instructs Uddhava to leave the place. He says everything is ending now. Krishna is also going to leave the body. All the yadus are going to be destroyed as already prophesied. Uddhava is the only one who is not going to be. So Krishna tells Uddhava, O Uddhava, go to Badrikashram. Badrikashram is also called Badrinath or Badri Vishal, which is in the uppermost region of Himalayas, which is a very sacred spot where even now there is a beautiful temple of Badrinarayan. So Krishna says to Uddhava, go there to Badrikashram, bathing in the waters of Ganga there, drinking the river water there, and with the sight of Alaknanda, which is another tributary of Ganga, most sacred river, wearing simple, natural clothes, eating simple fruits and roots and so on, living a very austere life with the senses fully regulated, with a calm mind, endowed with wisdom and self realization, by constantly meditating upon what I have taught you here, thereby you shall effortlessly transcend any material attachment and realize me and attain to me. So, this way, Uddhava is asked to go to Badrikashram after this long sequence of teachings called Uddhava Gita is imparted to him by Krishna. Thus, instructed by Krishna, Uddhava, with great love, goes around Krishna, circumambulating him, offers his obeisance unto him with tears in his eyes, still having not being able to leave Krishna because of his love, and Krishna gives him his wooden sandals as a mark of remembrance, and Uddhava carries it. So Krishna is so fond of Uddhava, just as Arjuna, just as all the beautiful associates of Krishna, everyone being uniquely blessed with grace. Here Uddhava is getting the highest and most compassionate gesture of being given Krishna's own wooden sandals. And so Uddhava carries that and he reaches Badri Vishal or Badrinath. And so we can remember in the third Skandha how in that journey he met Vidura in Yamuna. So this Uddhava Gita happens in the west coast in present Gujarat, and Badrinath is a good 1500 miles away up in the Himalayas across the northeastern portion. So while walking across the whole land, he goes to the banks of Yamuna. There he met Vidura, and Vidura was given some instructions by Uddhava, and then he said, Maitreya will impart the remaining to you. And then Uddhava proceeded further on to Badrikashram, and there he spent the rest of his life living according to the teachings Krishna shared, and thereby remained in Badrikashram and remained in self-realization and attained to the state of the Supreme Being. So with this, Uddhava Gita concludes, and Shuka Brahmam concludes this Uddhava Gita chapter, the sequence of chapters ending with this chapter, by saying, the one who even tastes with a little reverence this nectar of wisdom of Uddhava Gita, which is the essence of the Upanishads, taught to Uddhava, the great Bhagavata, by Krishna himself, the great master of yoga, he is not only liberated himself, but the whole world is liberated through listening to this. He says, Ya etad ananda samudra sambhritam jnanamritam bhagavataya bhashitam krishnena yogeshwara sevitangrina sat shraddhaya sevya jagat vimuchyate. He says, this great ocean of bliss, this nectar of wisdom taught to the great Bhagavata Uddhava by Krishna, the great yogi, Yogeshwara, the one who listens to it with even a little reverence, he not only gets liberated, but his whole world, that is, everyone associated with him, is also liberated. Therefore, Shuka Brahmam concludes this chapter by offering his obeisances to Krishna by saying, I bow to the Supreme Being Krishna, the original cause, the author of all the Vedas, the one who bestows the quintessence of Vedas in the form of knowledge and realization, and who gives this as the immortal nectar for all his devotees to drink. So we've all drunk the nectar of Uddhava Gita, and that concludes in this chapter. And with this, Uddhava goes back, the closest associate of Krishna, who got the most confidential wisdom, is also asked to leave, and he leaves. And now Krishna is alone, and we'll now see how Krishna finishes his earthly pastimes and leaves going forward. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.